Some contests, but it became no contest after Morgaro Gomez was sent off in the 8th minute. Ronnie Dyler's Celtic took charge. They only scored once in that first half though, through Virgil van Dijk. He got the 4th as well, in between. Anthony Stokes came up with a fabulous finish. John Guidetti scored a controversial penalty after he went to ground. Hearts never really able to show what they could do after that early red card, and it was a stroll really for Celtic to advance into the next round in an easier fashion than they thought it might be here at Tynecastle. A match that was never really allowed to develop into a showdown. It finishes Hearts 0, Celtic 4.
Well, the Celtic players are going to milk this one. All linked together. And why not? They are through to the draw for the 5th round of the William Hill Scottish Cup. Even Ronnie Dyler's out there. And remember, that draw is live on Sky Sports News HQ. I'll be on there at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon with that one. That's 10 wins in a row for Celtic against Hearts. And Hearts have scored just 2 goals in those 10 games. Hearts' unbeaten home record's gone as well after 8 strict victories at home in the League and Cup this year. It's not 9. Ronnie Dyler's men get the victory. But there will be a lot to talk about after this one. The Premiership leaders against the Championship leaders turned on a red card in only 8 minutes. The Hearts skipper sent off. Thereafter, Celtic took control. It was 1-0 at half-time. That goal came from Virgil van Dijk. Then in the second half, controversy. A penalty kick awarded to John Guidetti. He scored it, and it was game over at that stage. The 3rd goal followed from Anthony Stokes. Van Dijk scored a second, again from a corner kick. And Celtic are through. Let's hear from the man of the match. It's Scott Brown. He's alongside Virgil van Dijk, talking to Luke Shanley.
Scott, Virgil, well done. Scott, from your point of view, sum up today's performance.
I think it was top class. I think from the first minute to the last, we've done everything we asked we wanted to do, and we got the ball down. We played some great football and some great goals as well for the big man. You
were involved in that challenge, Gomez, on yourself. Talk us through it from your point of view.
I just seen the big man coming through, won the ball, but I didn't think it was that bad, to be perfectly honest. At the time I just kind of got up and thought it was maybe a booking, but the ref sent him off, so he must have done something. I couldn't really see it.
Virgil, from your point of view, 2 goals, sum up your afternoon.
Good afternoon, definitely. 4-0 here. It's great. A little bit like last year. So the red card helped us a little bit, but we were confident that we could get a good result today, and we showed our class and keep the ball well, score some good goals. So after all, it's a great afternoon.
You scored 2 goals. Should you have scored 3?
Should I have? Yeah, definitely. I didn't expect the ball, and there was a little bit of bounce in it, but there's no excuse for that. It should be a goal, but I score. I think the second goal was a good one as well.
Well, you scored 2, but the captain is the William Hill man of the match. Can you hand over the champagne, please?
Cheers, big man. Thank you.
Well done.
Cheers, lads. Cheers.
I'm glad that Scott Brown called him big man there, because it was quite a big difference, wasn't it? I think Bruni might have been sitting down. Well, despite Scott Brown saying there that he didn't think there was too much in that challenge, would you disagree with that? I mean, every time you look at it, it seems to get worse, doesn't it?
It's not a good challenge. You know, I think in today's game, as soon as you, as I said before, attempt to leave the ground with 2 feet, then I think you're going to get a red card more often than not. You know, when he's going off, he realises what he's done. You know, you see him now, you start. It speaks for itself.
Scott says in the interview he's not too bothered about it. He gets up pretty quick, and I think he was alarmed at how quick Gomez comes in, but he's out of control. He can't challenge like that, and he's let his team down very badly today.
If that didn't turn the game, did the penalty at the start of the second half really kill off Hearts? Was this in any way a penalty?
No, it wasn't a penalty. You know, he's cut back with the ball, and there's no contact whatsoever. And you know, the referees decided to give a penalty. You know, we've seen the replays. We weren't too sure when it was actually given. We thought maybe the linesman would give it because there seemed to be a pause in between before he made the decision. But when you look at the slow-mos now, you know, there's no contact whatsoever.
No, I'm sorry, there's nothing brings John Guidetti down other than himself. And Willie Collum...
Did he dive then?
Well, he's thrown himself down, he's conned the referee. And then when Willie Collum sees this later on, I think he'll be furious that he's been done because, look there's no contact, there, he's just dived down. And to be honest, I looked at John Guidetti's reaction and it was a half-hearted attempt. There was no, throwing the hands up, that's a penalty, look at him. He's no bothered because he knows he's thrown himself down and he's conned a penalty. So that is the reaction of the player. And Willie Collum, when he sees it, he bought a little bit of time, actually, Willie Collum. He didn't dive in and just be rash. He calculated it and gave the penalty, and that absolutely killed the game totally.
Do you think there will be retrospective action taken against him by the FA, as there was for Boruchter in the game at St Johnstone, which we did earlier in the season?
Well, I don't know, but Hearts will be very disappointed by it. Alan said it's not a penalty, there's no contact to bring the player down. He's done that himself. But ultimately, you know, whether that's a penalty, whether it's a dive, whether it isn't, Gomez getting sent off has killed the game for Hearts. They've sat in there, and Robbie could have changed it at half-time. He didn't. He tries to stick with his plan, and I think they were always going to succumb to more goals, but that's a sore one to get a second one like that, I tell you. And
with 10 goals already this season for Celtic, was there ever any doubt when Guidetti stood up?
Listen, from as soon as the sending off goes, it was a very dominant performance from Celtic.
Yeah.
You know, they bossed it from that minute. It was a huge turning point in the game. You know, Celtic really showed the class at times, and they controlled it from that minute of the red card to the last minute of the game. You know, I've got to say, there was big decisions in the game which changed it, but they were very impressive.
Hearts fans and fans of teams from out with Glasgow say that the Old Firm clubs always get results or get decisions like that. And you suggested yourself ahead of a game at Ibrox. Is that the way it is for the Old Firm? Do they get the rub of the green in these situations?
I didn't when I played. No, it's going to be something that's labelled at the Old Firm teams all the time. You know, I think what you have to do is that when you've got a game plan, you have to stick to it and go for it. You know, you have to try and be as positive as you can against the Old Firm teams. If you sit back, it's only a matter of time before they're going to create chances and carve you open. And we've seen that today. Yes, the sending off changed the game, but I thought some of the Celtic's movements, their interlinking, their intelligence was right up there.
As it often is, you have to say that about Celtic. But it was the Van Dijk show for much of this game. What did you think of the way that Hearts defended against that big fella, particularly at set pieces?
Well, I just want to point something out because Hearts have gone zonal and picking up. Now, if I just stop the play and highlight, that is Adam Eckersley. He picks up Van Dijk throughout the match. And Patterson, I have to apologise to Callum Patterson because I thought it was him that was picking up Van Dijk. But watch Callum Patterson, he goes to attack and Eckersley just switches off, and it was a theme of the match. He doesn't go with Van Dijk, he doesn't go and try and challenge and let Callum Patterson go and challenge. He drops off, and because of that, Van Dijk becomes free. Now, if you're picking him up, you have to stay with him. Look at this again as the ball comes in. Adam Eckersley has Van Dijk, and then we roll it on. A ball watches there, it gets done with a little bit of movement, freezes, and that should be a goal. I know the big man's laughing after the game, but it should be. Again, the third one, he's watching Van Dijk coming in, he sees him, Hearts have gone zonal in the 6-yard box. There, a little bit of movement, gone, punished. And you can't do that now. You're either a zonal lover or you're not. And Robbie's actually gone both there, zonal and picking up, but I would much rather maybe a Patterson or a Oztuck to go and get Van Dijk. Van Dijk is the biggest, most dangerous threat Celtic have at set pieces, and Adam Eckersley's on him. I don't understand it.
Perhaps a payback time for last week when, of course, Kevin McHattie was injured in that game against Rangers. He was the man who dropped out, and Eckersley was his deputy today. Now, Anthony Stokes got on the scoring action for Celtic. He set up one of those goals for Van Dijk earlier. What did you think of this goal, Alan, and the defending of it?
It's a tough one for the goalkeeper, the Stokes goal, because it goes through bodies and it's back across him. So it's a difficult one for him. You know, they're patient with the build-up play, they're working on opportunity, they're clever. It goes through bodies. You know, I think it's a difficult one for the keeper to try and say he should have done better. You know, he's picked the corner. It's a great finish, to be honest.
Now, Ronnie Dyler will no doubt be a happy man after that. Let's hear from him now. He's with Luke Shanley.
Ronnie, well done. What did you make of the game today?
It was a good performance of us. Of course, the game changed when we get play against 10 men, of course. But I think we did that very well. We kept the ball, and Hearts didn't have nothing, and we created the chances we needed, and won the game in a good way.
Virgil van Dijk with 2 goals. Sum up his afternoon, and also your captain who was in here as well. What about Scott Brown?
He's getting better and better now. You know, he had a injury for a long time, so now it's starting to get back in the what we know Bruni can do. So it was unbelievable the second half against Salzburg today as well. He just kept on going, and I'm looking forward to the future.
There seemed to be a lot of togetherness at the end. Tell us about that celebration.
I think it's as I said, we have to appreciate the supporters. I know it's unbelievable what the noise they are giving, or the support we give us. So to build that connection is unbelievably important, and we did it today. Every time we win, it's very easy.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, the Celtic supporters to our left were absolutely awesome today, no doubt about it. Fantastic noise throughout the afternoon, made all the more easy, I suppose, by that early red card. But Celtic gave their fans a show. And does he look as though he's beginning to grow into this job now, Ronnie Dyler?
I would say so. You know, to come into a job as big as Celtic, you know, is a huge task, especially with, you know, what was labelled at him the start, because no one had really heard too much about him. He's come in and he's finding his feet. He's growing into the stature of the club, you know, which is one of the biggest clubs in Europe. You know, there's no doubt about that from a fan base point of view. You know, so it was never going to be easy for him. But you know, you don't have to look at the form now of recent games. You know, they're getting better and better.
What did we learn about Rangers today, the other half of the Old Firm Nail, in our earlier game?
Yeah, what we learned is a team that is built on Premiership experience has come through. When they're better, I think, when they go a goal up, and then you can see the real experience and know-how kick in. Kilmarnock, very disappointing, 5 games defeated on the bounce now, and at times were the masters of their own downfall. But Rangers, when they're going, Alan McCoy has continued to play with the 4-4-2 and gone long to John Daly. You know, he'll then say, right, okay, it's vindicated because I've just beaten a Premiership side. Both Old Firm's teams through into the next draw.
So, congratulations to Ali McCoy. So let's hear from the 2 managers at that Rangers Kilmarnock game there with with Mark Benstead.
Ali, congratulations. You're through to the next round. After a difficult week, how pleased are you with the response from the players?
I thought the response to the disappointment of last week was first class. I don't think anybody would grudge us the victory. Certainly deserved it. I thought we scored some good goals along the way.
Alan, commiserations. What did you make of your team's performance today?
No, I don't think there's any excuses. It was a really poor performance. Didn't seem to be a lot of belief there, and that was a disappointing factor.
To what extent did you remind people there's a bit of quality in this side as well?
Well, I think you saw it. I mean, I definitely think you saw it today. As I say, wonderful finishes, a couple of terrific finishes from Nicky Law, and you know, I thought Ian Black, you know, particularly did what we asked of him in the first half. And as I said, without naming individuals, we were just delighted. It was an overall team performance was great with some, you know, scattered with some very, very good individual performances within that.
A lack of belief, you mentioned it, with no tempo. What do you put that down to?
It's hard to put your finger on it. Probably confidence after the last few results. So it's really disappointing, especially when your fans turn up in so many numbers. We really let them down today.
Yeah, it's a bad day for Kilmarnock, that's for sure. But that's it from our 5-hour special. Thanks to Neil. Thanks to you, Alan. We'll see you on December the 27th when Rangers against Hibs is live. Before that, though, Motherwell v Celtic is our next offering from Scotland in the Premiership. That's at 12:30 on Sky Sports 1. Later on Sky Sports 2, a double header from the NFL. And I'll be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock on Sky Sports News HQ for the Scottish Cup draw. Both halves of the Old Firm are through. Goodbye for the present.